Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be going through my review and a tutorial using the new 3 palettes that I got from Scott Barnes. So as you guys know, last week I uploaded my video of my review of this SNATURAL palette, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. I've been using this nonstop since I got it. Like, I love it so much. It's so easy to create looks with. It blends itself. It's just a easy palette to use. I will have timestamps listed in the description box down below for those of you that just want to skip ahead to certain parts. Let's say that you're not interested in the contour and you just want to see the blush palette, or you're interested in, you know, the contour and not the blush, or whatever the case is. I will leave timestamps in the description box down below, so for those of you that just want to skip ahead. So in that video, I talked about how I was waiting for the contour, the blush, and the highlighter palette. So at that time, I had only bought the contour and the blush palette. But after using that palette, I decided to go ahead and buy the highlighter. So I have all 3 of them right here. While I was there, I also picked up a few brushes. So I picked up the brush 65, which is kind of like that sculpting type brush. And then I picked up the crease brush, which is number 62. And I also got the number 59, which I freaking love all 3 of these brushes, but I especially love this brush. I love this brush, which I will get into my opinion on the brushes later on in the video. I also picked up the mascara. So this is the Pumped Up mascara. I tested out for you guys to let you guys know my opinion on it. Now on the Scott Barnes website, select items are 25% off. I don't think you can get the palettes for 25% off, but he's having like a cyber, you know, holiday sale for 25% off, which is how I purchased these items. I got 25% off of these. If you are a first-time buyer on the Scott Barnes website, you can actually get a 15% off coupon and you can use it towards the palettes. So you can't get 25% off the palettes, but you can get 15% off of the palettes. So I'm gonna get into a price comparison to some of the other high-end palettes that I have. I didn't do that in the first video, which I do like to do that. So I'm gonna get into that. Now, first things first, as we know, in that video, I talked about the packaging. So I wanted to let you guys know that after my video went up, Scott did reach out and tell me that the reason why he chose this packaging, he didn't want the packaging to be obsessive and, you know, having the customer pay all of that money for packaging, which I do appreciate it. Because I know that we pay a lot of money for this Pat McGrath packaging. Pat McGrath does not pay for the packaging on this. We do. So I understand that, you know, it is very luxe and very beautiful, but we pay a lot of money for it. So he didn't want to charge the customer an astronomical amount for packaging, but number 2, he wanted it to be environmental friendly. That was something that was very important to him. So that was the reason why he chose this packaging. In regards to the palettes being made in the PRC, which is the People's Republic of China, we have a state-of-the-art facility in China that we developed special equipment to press our one-of-the-kind soft formulas. It is one of the cleanest makeup factories there are. All products arrive sealed from the factory to prevent any contamination. The priority is making sure all of you have access to luxury formulas at a cheaper price. We didn't want the palettes to cost $150, so we made some sacrifices in the packaging and not the makeup, so everyone could afford and obtain the best quality makeup there is. So let's get into the cost breakdown on the shadow palette first, and then I will get into the cost breakdown and all the information on the blush, contour, and highlight palette. So this SNATURAL palette retails for $84 for 20 shades. It is 0.88 ounces, which is 25 grams worth of product. That makes it $3.36 per gram. A Pat McGrath palette. I'm just going to use the Mothership 6 palette as the example. So the Pat McGrath palette is $125 for 10 shades, which is 0.47 ounces, 13.2 grams. That makes it $9.47 per gram. Let's compare it to the Natasha Denona Biba palette. Now, I don't have the Biba palette. I did, but I actually ended up returning it only because I just wasn't using it enough to keep it in my collection and justify the price, because it's, you know, it's a $129 palette. Biba palette retails for $129 for 15 shades. You get 1.2 ounces worth of product, which is 37.5 grams. That makes it $3.44 per gram. Let's move on to the Tom Ford quads. They are $88 for 4 shades. You get 0.35 ounces worth of product, which is 9.9 grams. That is $8.89 per gram. So Charlotte Tilbury is $53 for 4 shadows. They are 0.18 ounces, 5.2 grams, and it makes it $10.19 per gram. So out of those brands, this natural palette is cheaper, and you do get 20 shades. So this contour palette retails for $58 for 8 shades. It has 0.875 ounces worth of product, which is 24.8 grams, and it is $2.34 per gram. Let's say the Kat Von D palette. So her contour palette retails for $49 for 0.72 ounces, which is 20.25 grams. The palette is $2.42 per gram. The Natasha Denona contour palette is $89 for 1.5 ounces, which is 42 grams. That's a lot of product. That makes it $2.11 per gram. So if you compare it to this palette, it's a little, the Scott Barnes is a little bit more money than the Natasha Denona per gram. So the blush palette also retails for $58, and you get 8 shades. This palette has 0.73 ounces, which is 20.8 grams worth of product, and it is $2.79 per gram. So I wanted to compare this to the Jouer blush palette. The Jouer blush palette retails for $42, and you get 30.84 ounces, which is 18 grams. That makes it $2.33 per gram. The NARS blush palette, the new holiday palette, that palette retails for $59, and it is 0.84 ounces, 23.4 grams. And that makes it $2.52 per gram. So the highlighter palette retails for $68 for 8 shadows. I can see why this one is a little bit more money, because these are pressed in a certain way. This is almost the identical formula to the shimmer shadows in the SNATURAL palette. So in my review of the SNATURAL palette, I talked about how incredibly smooth these shimmer shadows are. That is exactly how this highlighter palette is. There's absolutely no chunk to them. They are exceptionally smooth. You can't feel them. Like when you actually swatch them, you can't feel them. This retails for $68 for 0.98 ounces worth of product, which is 28 grams, and it is $2.42 per gram. So I wanted to compare that to the Private Society. So everybody has been talking about the Private Society highlighter, the Go Getter and stuff. So those palettes retail for $42, and you get 0.96 ounces worth of product, which is 27.2 grams. That makes them $1.54 per gram. But so those are the price comparisons of all of the products that we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the application of me applying these palettes, and then I will give you guys the swatches and my final thoughts. Okay, so I'm ready to dive in to these palettes that I have been waiting for from Scott Barnes. They come in a sealed package, which I really appreciate. I did pick up some brushes, so I did pick up this brush, and I'm excited to use this brush. And you guys know that I never use powder contour. It just never works for me. I am a huge cream contour person. I like to contour because I do kind of have, like, you know, high cheekbones. I have a really high forehead. I don't normally contour my nose only because my nose is kind of small anyway, so I really don't want it to be any smaller. But for special occasions, like if I'm going to take pictures and stuff, sometimes I will contour the nose, but on a daily, I never contour the nose. But I always use a cream contour. I feel like if it works for me, then it'll probably work for a lot of you out there that like powder contour. You're gonna appreciate it even more than somebody like me because I'm so used to cream, you know what I mean? The way that this is set up, even though you're not a makeup artist, I feel like you can use different shades for different contouring on the face. So I don't necessarily think that you have to use the exact same shade all over your face for contouring. I feel like because each shade has such different undertones, I feel like you can kind of mix and match and kind of create your own perfect shade. I'm excited to try this. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I don't have the technique down. So for me, it gets a little bit muddy, but I love his palette so much, and I feel like the palette is so beginner friendly. I feel like it was very unique for Scott Barnes, being that he's a makeup artist, for him to create this natural palette in such a way that it's so user-friendly. So I'm gonna mix between this shade and this shade. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. It's not powdery at all. And it's not dusty at all. That's actually a very soft powder. Look at this monster I got going on right here. I'm testing out a new foundation and it's breaking me out so bad. It's driving me nuts. Okay, these powders are exceptionally soft, you guys. I mean, look at that. It is so soft. It just doesn't give you the muddy vibe. It doesn't apply muddy. It applies very smooth, and I mean, look at that. That looks amazing. It's the first powder contour that I've actually liked. I've tried several different powder contours and I do not like them. So I'm excited to see how this is gonna look on my forehead, because I know you guys have heard me mention this before, but I have these like ridges in my forehead. Like I don't have a smooth forehead. My bone structure, I don't know if it's gonna pull up. Oh, right there. See this little dent right here? I have a dent right here. So this protrudes out and then I have a dent. It's like a divot. And when I use contour, if I'm not super careful, it'll exaggerate that. So I'm gonna grab Frame and Diced. It's so natural. Like you can see the difference. That just kind of like brought it together, but like you wouldn't know that I was wearing contour, but look at the difference. I mean, holy hot damn. Okay, don't mind my wispy hair. I had to pull it up because it was just in my way. Again, I'm not used to doing this with powder. So this is definitely like a learning thing for me, because this is just not something that I normally do. But, you know, we all have to learn. This is the 59 brush, and I wanted to contour my nose, and I don't even know what color to use. Like, I don't even know. So I'm going to mix between Frame and Diced. I will say this though, once you put it on, it blends right out. Again, I'm not used to this, so this is like so new for me. That contour looks like crap. It's very hard for me to contour my nose. I know that he even uses this as like for eyebrows, and I mean, I'm gonna try it. I don't know what color to grab. I think I might grab this shade right here and just kind of run this powder through my brows just to see. Oh yeah, that works good, doesn't it? It would be nice if you could just have one palette do many different things. Like if you could use this palette for contouring, bronzer, your brows, you know what I mean? Like the whole 9 yards. I mean, how great would that be? Maybe I'll go in with a little bit of dark. So I'll go into Sculpt just a tiny bit. Darken them up a little bit. This brush is amazing. And as you guys know, I'm constantly struggling with my brows because I'm growing them out, so they're kind of a pain in the ass. I actually don't mind using that powder on my brows. I mean, that actually worked pretty dang good. This brush is amazing though. Like, it's the perfect stiffness. A lot of these eyebrow brushes or brushes like this are too long and I don't like them. But this one is like short and not too stiff, but not too flimsy. I'm gonna grab a little bit of Sculpt and Carve and just kind of do some like flickering motions up here. See if I can do my whole brows with this palette. That would be freaking cool, wouldn't it? But I'm actually kind of liking how natural it makes them look, you know? Okay, so those powders might be my new favorite for my brows. I've never used powder for my brows before, and I love the way that that made my brows look. They look much more natural, and yeah, it was the first time I've used it, so I could probably perfect it. Let's move on to the blush, which I'm really excited for the blush because you guys know I'm a blush freak. I love blush. Blush is my thing. And I love to put blush on the apples of my cheeks. I know that most people don't like that, and it's supposed to be up on the cheekbone. I get it. But I love to put blush right here on the cheeks. I love several shades in here. And again, he does like to have a little bit of that mixture. And over here on this side, the first 2 shades in the palette on the top and bottom row, these 2 shades right here, but he gave you an option to put over top of it to give it a little bit of something extra on the cheek. When I have a palette like this, I like to mix shades. It's kind of my thing. Like, I don't like to just mix. I don't like to just go into one shade. I like to kind of mix different shades. So I'm gonna grab these 2 shades right here. I like it right there. Bam. Now, of course, I will go over this with some powder. Okay, that's a very soft blush formula. Almost like you can't screw it up. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna mix between these 2 and kind of pop it over top. Let's see what it'll look like. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, look at the sheen that gave it. It's so pretty. On the other side, I'm gonna grab a little bit of these 2. You can tell that this one's definitely brighter. I went a little ham on the blush. I will calm it down when I put some powder on, but okay. Now what we've all been waiting for. The highlighter palette. Now the highlighter palette has like this silver kind of like holographic moment. Blush palette has the pink, and then the contour palette has the brown, which is really cool. I initially did not buy the highlighter palette. I ordered the highlighter palette after I played with the SNATURAL palette, and the reason is because I thought, okay, those shimmer shades in that palette are so exceptionally like soft and like you can't feel them on your finger the way that they're pressed. If he's using the same machine to press the highlighters, then I want it. Like, I gotta have the highlighter palette. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I needed it just because I do have a lot of highlighters, but because I loved the shimmer formula so much in the SNATURAL palette. So I'm gonna use this fan brush from Rephr. This is the Rephr 20 brush. And I'm gonna dip in Twilight Sand. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, so I knew that that highlighter would apply the exact same way as the shimmers. You cannot feel it on the skin. You can't see it sitting on the skin. It just highlights it. It's kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, the new one that I have, the Magic Star highlighter. It's kind of the same type of formula, but I would say you could probably see this one maybe a little bit more. But holy crap, this is so pretty. I mean, look how beautiful that looks. Okay, so I've zoomed in here on my hand, but do you see how you can't see where the powder is on my hand? You can only see where I've applied it and I've got the highlight, but you can't see it sitting here. Like, there's no line. Isn't that amazing? I'm gonna put candlelight right above it on this side. Oh, look how freaking pretty that is. Oh my gosh. I love that. Oh, I knew I was gonna love it. It's so pretty. The thing that I like about it too is that it doesn't emphasize texture. So it's such a soft powder that it doesn't emphasize the texture. Yes, it's so pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay, so I just went ahead and used the Scott Barnes palette. To save time, I'm just gonna tell you guys what I used. So I grabbed Risque and Brick House. Those are the only two shades that I used in the crease on the lower lash line. I took this brush, the slanted one, and grabbed Brick House and lightly lined my lash line on the upper and bottom lash line. And then I grabbed the highlighter palette and I grabbed Twilight Sand, this one right here, which I'm wearing on this cheek, and I use that on the lid. Okay, so the next thing that I have here that's from Scott Barnes is the mascara. So it comes in this white tube, and it's called the Scott Barnes Pumped Up Mascara. Now, I am growing out my lashes. This side is starting to get really full, but I still have some gaps on this side. So I've been wearing lashes a little bit more just to try to kind of like fill it in. Let's go ahead and see what this mascara looks like. Now, I'm really, really picky with my mascara, so I'm curious how this is gonna work. I like how this is a soft formula, so it doesn't start getting like hard and dry quickly. Like you can still kind of build it. Some mascaras, when you start applying it, it dries quickly and then it starts getting like more crispy and crispy as you're applying. This doesn't do it. It's a very buildable formula that still allows movement in the lashes, which is my favorite type of formula. I'm really curious how this is gonna work. And I'm gonna wear this all day on the upper and bottom lash line. And in the comments section, I will let you guys know if I got any raccoon eyes or anything like that by the end of the night, because that is one thing I cannot stand. I'm very picky with mascara because I do not like raccoon eyes, but this is actually really nice mascara. So far, I am liking this. Through the tutorial and the swatches, let me get into my final thoughts. I'm gonna first start with the contour palette, which is the first thing that I used. And I was extremely intimidated by this palette. It was something that I was just kept going, oh, I don't know if I want to use it. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I don't know if that it'll work for me because I'm just not used to powder contour. But once you put your brush in there, it kind of does the work for you. It's exceptionally user-friendly. These shades are very specific and they're chosen in a very specific way. And I really, really like this contour palette. I don't know that I will completely stop using my cream contour. I don't know. I'm gonna have to continue to kind of play around with it to see if I would ever just completely stop using cream. I don't know that I ever will because cream is something that's very easy for me to use. I've tried so many different powder contours, which is the reason why for a long time I never even contoured, because I could not find the right powder that would blend into the skin and look natural and not turn muddy. I do not like a muddy contour. It just drives me nuts. So I just never contoured because I didn't like it. And then once I discovered cream, then I felt more comfortable because cream just immediately blends out. So I was a little bit concerned by having my foundation a little bit too tacky for these powders, you know, because I didn't know if I needed to really pack the powder on so that when I contoured, that it wouldn't stick to, you know, any type of foundation on my face and get muddy. But that did not happen. These blend very, very smooth and very, very beautifully. If you love powder contour, you will love this. All right, let's move on to the blush palette. The blush palette is bomb. These blushes are gorgeous. They're not chalky, they're not really powdery. They melt into the skin in such a beautiful, effortless way. I love the way my blush looks right now. I love the way this looks. And I also love the fact that you can grab these two shades over here and add just a little bit of hint of shimmer to your matte blush. Now, if you're like me and you have a lot of blushes in your collection, is this necessary? Probably not, to be honest with you, probably not. If this is something that you've been looking at and you are really, really interested in and you really like the shades, you won't be disappointed. The powders blend beautifully. All right, let's move on to the highlighter palette. So I love this highlighter palette. I love this highlighter palette even more than I thought I would. This highlighter palette is the exact same type of texture as the shimmers in the SNATURAL palette, which is what I really fell in love with. And they are so smooth on the skin. They just glisten the face and they're just amazing. I love the way this highlighter looks. It's very natural, but so beautiful on the skin. I would say out of all three of the actual palettes, the face palettes, the highlighter might be my favorite. Even if there's shades in here that you can't wear as a highlighter, you can definitely wear them as eyeshadow. So bomb. This is gonna last you forever. Like, I don't think that you would ever need another highlighter palette because this is gonna last you a really, really long time. But I love this. I will also add, since I've been playing with this palette, the thing that I love the most about this palette that I really couldn't tell you during the first time I used it is just how long my eyeshadow looks last. So I will create a look and it will last all day. And like when I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner with my mom, you know, we were like kind of hot and running around and it was kind of chaotic. You know how it is. My eyeshadow looked exactly the same by the time I went to take my makeup off as it did when I applied it. I think in my personal opinion, that's what I love most about this palette. Number one, I don't get any fallout. Number two, the longevity of the actual shadows. It maintains that richly pigmented eyeshadow in the crease. You don't get any creasing on the lid. So that's the other surprising thing. When I apply the shimmers on my lid, I get absolutely no creasing. All day, it will last beautifully. It does not budge. I paid the $84 for quality eyeshadows that don't budge, that don't crease, that last all day, look beautiful. I don't get any fallout. They blend themselves. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. I am absolutely still loving this palette, and those are the things that I love most about it. Okay, let's move on to the brushes really quick. This brush is amazing. So far, I'm really loving the way that it chisels out the cheek. And, you know, I'm going to continue to kind of use it and kind of play with it. So far, I really like this brush. Also, these two brushes, really good. I absolutely love this one. It's not too long and it's not too short. It has the right amount of stiffness to it. And I absolutely love how this is really nice and gets in there. This crease brush is definitely a workhorse. I like how the handle's longer on that. And I like these. These brushes, I can see why everybody really likes his brushes because, you know, I only have these three and they are fantastic. So the mascara, I have to say, I'm obsessed with. It is so easy to get that volume looking lashes. Now I'm really hoping that I don't get any raccoon eyes because that's going to be the true test. I love the brush on this. The brush is kind of a good size. It's not too big and it's not too small. I prefer a smaller brush because I have smaller lashes. I'm still growing them out. So it's really hard to get in there and try to build when you have these big brushes and then you get mascara all over your face. It's kind of a pain in the butt. but I really, really like this mascara so far. So those are my final thoughts on these 3 palettes and the brushes and the mascara. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for the love that you show me and my channel. It means so much to me. I hope you guys have a wonderful day filled with love and joy. I will see you guys in my next video, and I love you all so much. Bye.